Oh, we've got massive fluff today. Howdy friends, welcome back to my floor. I'm very excited to see you all today and to share with you this new product that has arrived at my doorstep this afternoon. I was recently contacted by an online agent for Himi who makes the jelly gouache that I played with in a recent video of mine. I will put a link to that up above somewhere so that you can watch it in your own time if you wish. But they reached out to me and they asked if I would be interested in reviewing a product for them. And I thought it was very generous. They sent it to me for free. And it is this. This is the MIYA or MIYA artist grade watercolor. MIYA is an affiliate brand of Himi. I'm not sure which of those is technically the parent company, but they are associated with one another. And in this set, it comes with a brush, and even though this technically is MIYA watercolors, the brush says Himi on it. I can sort of see it through the clear packaging. So I'm not sure how to classify this, if it's technically under the umbrella of Himi, but that's just my best guess. These are companies that are based out of China, and their agent was very kind to send this set to me for no cost so that I could review it for them. So I'm going to do that for all of you today. I haven't even taken it out of the packaging. I was waiting to do that on camera. This is their artist grade watercolor. They do have like a student grade set that I think has more colors in it, and it's a slightly larger palette from what I understand. I'll put links to both down below, but I will make sure that I specify which one of these is the one that I'm reviewing today. So just check the description if you're interested in the details. So yeah, I'm super jazzed to have a new set of watercolors in my collection and that I'll be able to provide a comprehensive review for all of you. Even though I paid no money for this, I still want to be able to give you my most upfront opinion about this while I test it out. And you get to see all of that firsthand by watching this video, so you can make your own determinations too. So let me switch to the overhead camera setup and we can get cracking. Well, hello. We have our new camera setup. Everything's looking pretty smashing. I'm even closer to my phone now so you can hear me better. Anyway, let's get into opening this thing, shall we? I haven't even taken the cellophane off, so let's first remove the product and all of the items from the box. Okay, so I think that's it. That's all that came in that little package. This is the palette. So the first thing I notice is that the pans in this set, as you can see, are not rectangular. They are a rhombus shape, I guess you could call that. That's pretty cool, actually. It's definitely an interesting design choice. Not a criticism, just an observation. So this set comes with 36 colors, which is incredibly generous. And like I said, it comes with a brush that has the word Himi on it. It's just an ordinary round brush. It's got a few stray hairs on it, but I think that just may have been a shipping problem or a packaging problem, and nothing that can't be fixed later. They were also very generously provided a very pretty pencil. There you go. So that's pretty cool. I'll have to sharpen that. And in the back here was... oh, we have a color card. Now, unfortunately, I can't read Chinese, so I am unable to tell you, at this time anyway, what these colors are meant to be. I also don't have any light fastness information, but the listing on Amazon seemed to indicate that these are light fast paints. It may be something that I will test on my own time in the future, but because I'm not a professional watercolor artist, that's less important to me. It may be more important to you, so if I can find any more information, I'll do some digging and I might stick it at the end of this video, or I'll just put it in the description later for all of you to check out. And then of course they gave us a lovely swatch card, and I don't know how well you can see that on camera. Oh, it's kind of picking it up, but they mimicked all of the rhombus shapes that are from the pans in this set on the swatch card, which is very aesthetic. Wow, let's bust this baby open. Oh man, it is really shrink wrapped. Pardon my hands, by the way, they're all dirty. I envy all of those YouTube artists out there that keep their hands perfectly clean. I don't know if you guys are a fan of Drawing with Waffles. I'm a really big fan of her content, but she always has like these immaculate nails and I'm like, how? Might have to cheat. Poke a hole with a ballpoint pen. Oh, they're making me work for it. Oh, I got a finger in there. Come on. Ah, freedom. All right, so... ooh, so these pans, it's almost as if the pans of color, like the colors themselves, were sort of put out and then cut on a diagonal So they're very like sort of rough. I wonder if I can get one of these out of here or if it's like glued in. Ooh, I don't want to test it because I don't want it to break. This one I'm noticing has a bit of a chalky texture on the outside, and I'm not sure if that has to do with the pigment itself because none of the other colors look that way. The true test will come when I test how the paints look after I activate it with water, of course. So again, not trying to pass any judgments here, it's just an observation. Okay. So I've got some water here, and I'm just going to use the brush that came with the set. Now something else I'm noticing is that unlike the MIYA gouache, this set doesn't have like a space or a tray where you can store your brush. I don't think that that's 100% necessary, but again, just an observation. Let's just give it a whirl. Last color left to do is white. I should have taped this swatch card down. And I'm tempted. I've never used a white watercolor before. It might be in my best interest. Got this waterproof multi-liner here. There we go. All right, my swatches are done. I have to say that I'm very impressed with the vibrancy of these colors. I think they're lovely. The things that stand out to me, first of all, you get a very wide selection of colors. I was also really impressed with the fact that they give you two purples. One's more of like, here actually, let me put a little bit extra paint here. My swatching isn't the best, but this one's more of like a deep sort of rich royal blue purple, and then this one up here is like a very juicy, almost reddier purple. That's really neat. They have a nice selection of pinks. This one's like a blush pink. This one's like a mauve color. This one's like more magenta, I think, which is really nice. I would have preferred if the magenta was maybe a little bit more vibrant, but again, that could be a reflection on how I swatched my colors. I'm not really sure. A few of these colors stand out to me as maybe a little bit more opaque than others, and they're all kind of in the brown category, like this one here, and then this one, and this like yellow ochre color over here, and this kind of like burnt sienna color over here. Yeah, it just goes on. It's just a little bit more grainy. I know that some pigments are like that though, so I don't want to be too hard on them. And you definitely get a decent selection of both blues and greens. Let's see how this color lifts. Hey, not too bad. But yeah, wow, this is a lovely little set of paints. I'm also a little bit perplexed how like this set doesn't seem to have any appropriate mixing areas. The lid is kind of concave on the inside, so I feel like if you tried to mix, a lot of your colors would run towards the center. And also this spot here, there's like an indent where this little shape is, and that I think that would make mixing colors a little bit more constrained. So, you know, if you're trying to travel with your set, which is, I guess, the purpose of having a case that can close like this, that will, you know, be protected from the elements, I think that might be a drawback of their design, but the paints themselves are really nice. I can't complain about them, honestly. So everything you see here, the paints, the brush, the pencil, and the swatch card all came in the set, $21.99 on Amazon, which is incredibly decently priced. I will do my best to look up some information on the light fastness of the paints and the color names of each of these paints, if I can find them. I know that's really important to some people, especially those who are colorblind, something that, you know, a color-sighted person like me could take for granted. So I want to make sure that if that information is out there, that I can give it to you all. So I'm gonna put this stuff away for the night, and then I'll revisit it in the morning, and we can do a painting tomorrow. Woohoo! Okay, so I have some updates. This morning, I found color references for the colors that are provided in this watercolor set. It's actually something that you can find if you go to the listing on Amazon. There is an image, which I will overlay on the screen here, and that will give you names for the 36 colors that are in this set. Now, I'm really glad that they provided this resource on the Amazon listing, because that color card that they provided in the actual physical set of paints was all in Chinese, and when I ran a Google Translate app over it, oh man, it was a hot mess. Some of my favorite translation errors include cooked pig and syndrome, lame, green lotus, which is very much a purple, and familiar foundation. So at the very least, if you're having issues naming the colors or figuring out what the colors are supposed to be, you can go to the Amazon listing and then just download that picture. I do have some notes though, so let me flip the camera around. So this is the swatch card that I completed, as you remember, and there were certain colors whose names that were on that image from the Amazon listing that didn't quite make sense to me. First of all, they're calling this color right here indigo, which I don't read as indigo. In fact, I would say that this is a different version of black. It's almost like a cooler toned black, whereas this is more of a warmer toned black. I didn't think that there was anything wrong with them including that, but I just thought it was strange that they named it indigo. I also have noticed that these two purples, which are similar in tone, are listed, I believe, as purple and pale violet. Now, I think that that's wrong. I think this is supposed to be purple, this is supposed to be violet, and then this color, the one that I'm so fond of, is actually supposed to be pale violet, and this on their color card on the Amazon listing calls it violet. So I just think that there may have been a translation error, but that's my information provided to all of you so that perhaps it makes a little bit more sense. I would hate for anyone to think that this is a pale color, because it's not. It's a very beautiful, deep, rich purple, and it's got lovely, like, blue tones to it, whereas this is more of like a juicy red purple that kind of reminds me of grape jelly. The other thing I noted was that these two yellows, which look really similar, actually in this morning's lighting, you can definitely tell the difference between them, but in my sort of like evening time artificial light, it was harder to tell. But this is a color I believe they call primrose, and then this one they're calling lemon yellow. And I would say that's fairly accurate. This one right here has so much orange to it that I can't remember what it's called. I'll just post the picture again up on screen so that you can see which color I'm referring to. But, you know, if you're looking for like a warm and a cool yellow, I definitely think that this color that they call primrose is the coolest yellow of the three that they provide. And then I think everything else pretty much was exactly as it was described. I can't see any other faults with the way that they named things, but this is just some clarifying information for all of you so that you can make informed decisions. I also think that it's high time that I actually got to painting something with these, and I have an idea. I can't wait to show you the sketch that I did. It's cakes. I don't know why. Well, I think I do know why. It's because I think with my stomach, but I have gained a lot of inspiration in the past couple of nights from looking at other people's art pieces of dessert. And I thought that it was time for me to finally do a page of my own, and I'm going to color 4 different types of cake. So let's get started. Let's make a cute little tasty painting. Pixel agrees. Baby. Alright, so first things absolutely first, I'm going to throw up the reference images on screen now from my very favorite Creative Commons image website, Pexels. I used 4 paintings that I thought looked very tasty and gave me a decent range of color so that I could experiment with several of the different pans. I didn't end up using all of them, but it was good just to get a wide range of color so that I could see how each of them laid down. I took a few artistic liberties here and there in terms of like the background or the surfaces that these cakes sat on, but for the most part I would say that they're kind of copied directly. I started with the blue frosted cupcakes, and I very deliberately covered the highest highlight on the frosting because I wanted to experiment a little bit with using that white watercolor paint that came with this set. I am completely unfamiliar with how to use white watercolor. I have heard criticisms from other watercolor artists in the past saying that white is not a legitimate watercolor, and I don't know how I feel about those sorts of like hard and fast opinions on things. Like if it's a paint that activates with water, it's a white watercolor. So I just wanted to test it out and see how effective it was. For that reason as well, I left off the highlights of the berries on the cake on the bottom right. That way I could jazz those up with the white paint as well. Now, in terms of other things to note about this set that I noticed while I was painting, first of all, the pans are quite large. They tend to be somewhere in between standard half-size and full-size pans. So they're like a 3/4 size pan, if you will. And I think that means that you actually get a decent amount of media in this set, which is pretty good considering how cheap they are. The only downside is, of course, that, these are not pans that you can replace with the individual colors later on, or at least I don't think so. That might be something that they offer in the future, but at this time you can really only buy the set as it is with all of the colors as they come in that sort of plastic insert. The paints really activated very well, which was very pleasing, and the application of them went down very smoothly. I think that there were really only 1 or 2 colors that I thought were very granulated, and that seemed kind of typical of those colors. Like, I think there was a Prussian blue color that seems to be a little bit more granulated than the others, and I think that's a common culprit of that because it's sedimentary pigment, I think it's called. So for anybody curious, it just seemed like these paints behaved exactly as they should. And because I'm new to watercolor, you can take that information with a little grain of salt, but for the most part, I was incredibly satisfied with how they performed. Alrighty, friends, it's been a few days. I've gotten a haircut in that time. I'm cutting it a little close to the wire for when I have to edit this video and put it out on Saturday night, but I did want to provide a few final notes and give you an up-close and personal look at the painting that I completed. So let's do that first. So here we go. I'm quite proud of this. I think it turned out really well. I think I'm the most proud of this cake down here because it looks chunky and dimensional and delicious. I definitely made myself hungry for cake while I was painting this. And it was good to get a nice range of color and experiment with the white watercolor paint because that was new territory for me. I definitely look forward to using these paints in the future. The only thing that I think I added off camera was, again, I love my white gel pen, so I ended up like jazzing up some of the seeds in that strawberry. I did what I could to stick with only the white paint, and that was the only area where I felt like it didn't really show or I couldn't get a fine enough detail, so I ended up using like a fine tip white gel pen to get those little dots. And that's pretty much it. So the reason why I've been so held up throughout the week is because I did message the Hemi agent who had originally reached out to me to review these paints, asking if she had specifics about the light fastness information. She had to contact their manufacturer and they haven't gotten back to her yet, which is why I haven't heard anything. Now, the moment I do, I will be sure to provide that information to all of you, and I'll probably pin it to the top comment on this video. That way everybody can see exactly what the light fastness information I get from her is, because really all I found on the box, again using the Google Translate app, which is imperfect, but it just said high light fastness and there really wasn't much in terms of specifics on that packaging. So I just wanted to make sure that there was something a little bit more concrete that I could provide for all of you, and the minute I get it, I will share it in the comments, and then you can have that information for yourself. I appreciate you all for being with me this week while I did my first legitimate review. I understand that that can be wary to some people, that you want, you know, an honest review, especially when a company sends you a product for free. I was wary about it too, trust me, because it's the first time I've ever done anything like this, and I'm certainly not a big name, so it was kind of an honor in a weird way for me to get the opportunity to sort of like flex my professional skill and put on my serious face, you know, so that I could provide some information to other artists so that they know exactly what they're getting. I definitely think that you get your money's worth, especially for the $22 price tag. I hope that with some of the feedback that I provided, maybe they'll see it, that they might tweak some of those packaging issues that I had a problem with, but the paints themselves are perfectly fine. And I think that, you know, if you're on a budget, these paints will give you exactly what you're looking for. And if you're worried about light fastness, and these don't turn out to be like as high quality as, say, some top tier competitors, these are perfectly fine for using in your sketchbook, so that's definitely where I'm going to be using them in the future. Thank you for joining me. I will see you again for our midweek chit-chat video, and until then, ciao everyone!